If you want to be in the top 100 sellers on Depop, watch this video. I'm going to give you some tips for how to get there. Basically, being a top 100 seller means that you are a world-ranked top 100 who is making the most revenue on that platform in that given time and period. Typically what Depop do is they give you weekly stats and monthly stats to give you an idea of how many items you sold, how many items you probably uploaded, and how much that revenue accumulated to. And alongside that, you also get a world ranking of the number and position for where you are. What a lot of people think is that to be in the top 100, that it means making a lot of money, but you would be surprised with how much you have to make to get into the top 100. If you want to be a top 10 Depop seller, you have to be around £3,000 a week.
Wow, that was a horrendous place to stop, Spen. I wanted to just add on this point that the rankings are relative to a lot of factors, such as how many items people are listing. Popular times can be more competitive. This was based on the time with which I was uploading around 6 months ago. Just wanted to add that disclaimer.
Which is a lot of money, I can appreciate and agree. But as you slowly dip down into them numbers, to be in the top 50, you could be making anywhere between £1,200 a week. Go to the 100, and it could be anywhere between £600 to £700 a week. The best way to execute this from the jump, right, is do a time of motion of a typical week that you would idealistically like to live, and that is in the form of the work that you would like to create. So there's uploading products, sourcing of stock, making sales, sending offers, all that sort of stuff, right? Do a realistic time of motion, understand how many hours you put into that, and wait for your Depop ranking and find out what the outcome of that is. I will say off the bat that if you want to be in the top 100 Depop sellers, you have to basically put a lot more effort into that platform itself. Initially, that's what you'd have to do in order to get a system in place for how it's going to work before you can scale up simultaneous other platforms. And that's where I'm at after a point of many years, where I can jump into different platforms and be top sellers very quickly. And to be honest with you, it's just down to speed, efficiency, and being consistent with what you do. They're three of the main pillars from this. If I was to give you an example of how you can take this information and run with it right now, do a time of motion on Depop. How many hours did you spend this week? What number rank was you? How plausible is consistently maintaining that number? Was you number 250? Was you in the top 1,000? Where's your world ranking based on the week of hours that you put into it? Let me know in the hours how many hours you put in and what your ranking is, because I think we can be an open book at this point. When I got to the top 15th spot, and this is how I know what the numbers of it are, top 15, I was doing around about £2,800 turnover a week, which basically meant that I was generating that much money before all the insertion fees, the Depop fees, and all that sort of stuff that was taken off of it. And that was something that I built up purely off women's wear and unbranded menswear and Y2K stuff, not really jumping into like heavy brands and stuff like that. And from that, I was spending around about 25 to 30 hours a week producing all of the stuff that I was doing. And my breakdown of what I did consisted of sending offers, uploading lots of stock, and essentially taking photos of stock constantly. So roughly around about 6 hours of photography a week and 18 hours of uploading products and sending messages. And you really have to put aside time in order to understand where you can be on this. So the first thing you have to do is the time of motion and where you are realistically. What is your current rank based on your current capacity? That is the first thing you need to understand. Secondly, from that answer you get, how can you leverage more scaling through this? How can you build on this? How can you get more sales? How can you find more time? How can you create more revenue? How can you increase where you are in this ranking? And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think that it's really important for you to know what number ranking you are. ASOS Marketplace used to do it, and it was great to know that we were number one, but the only reason why I think it's good to know your ranking is if you start to have a slow week and your ranking stays the same, you can see that it's an actual trend on the platform. But other than that, it's only purely for your ego and maybe for some sort of carrot on a stick that you can go to as a goal, which, okay, the goal is really nice, but I don't think it should be comparable to other people. You should still be on your journey doing your thing. Time of motion it. Understand how many hours you spent, understand what you make. To be in the top 100 Depop sellers, you have to realistically be around about £600 to £800 a week, roughly, I'm imagining. So with that, you have to generate around about £3,000 a month through Depop. You break that down very quickly, that's £100 a day on Depop 7 days a week. You break that down again, for every 12 hours you're awake a day, it's probably just less than £10 an hour that you need to generate. These are meticulous numbers and figures that I was working out to understand where I was at any point. If you set out all the milestones like the Hansel and Gretel trail, then you know where you've come from and you know what you're building up to. Being less bothered about the number but having it in your mind as something you can aim towards is good for motivation and for competitiveness. But in all honesty, the three factors that it really comes down to in order to get to being a top 100 seller: consistency, every day showing up and doing the same thing you did the day before. Yes, you might have a full-time job and you might be having other obligations, but find that time that you can create that's consistent. When people say, I can't do so much because I have another job. You still have set amount of time a day to do other things so that you've still got time to do it per day. Speed. Work on every single task that you do and look at how you can improve it. Do you send 50 offers an hour? Try and send 60. Do you upload 20 products an hour? Try and upload 25. Do you find on average 50 items a week? Try and find 60. Don't give problems before you try to look at the solutions to it. And the last one is efficiency. Be efficient with what you're doing. Don't use your phone on Depop to upload products and then start going on TikTok and doing this. And I know, I'm only saying that because that is what happens. Notifications come up, you click on something else, you get distracted. Use focus mode on your phone, get that on, upload products, or use a computer, turn all notifications off, and just try and home in on that focus of efficiency. Because the efficiency that you have is really related to the focus that you drive into the task. And I know that most of the tasks regarding secondhand are all tedious and that requires you to do so much work and copy and paste effort, but find some way of simplifying and seamlessly making that not a tedious task. Like listening to a podcast, like watching something in the background, but being focused on the actual uploading products. So guys, I hope this one finds you well. This is a very brushed over topic on how to be in a top 100 Depop sellers, but if you want me to do videos where I show you my process for how I would talk to customers and do maybe live practicals of examples, one idea I did want to have is showing you how much money I could make in 24 hours doing Depop and purely making a video about maximizing the Depop and seeing what I could actually make. And if that's something that would be of interest to you guys, please drop a comment down below and let me know, and I will show you how much I can genuinely make with putting in as much effort as possible to Depop in 24 hours. Guys, as always, stay safe, stay sustainable, keep doing cool stuff like selling secondhand, buying it, and repurposing, all things like that. Trust the process of what you're doing, stay safe, be in good mindsets, all that same stuff. Just keep doing you. I believe in you, all right? That's all that matters. Keep it up.